Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to FPL Don't Panic. Is it time to panic? I don't think so. It might be, might not necessarily panic for some of us. And you not particularly from last year know what I can be like. Sometimes quite impulsive when if things don't go quite according to plan. But there is a more reserved Des. Now, last year's Des would absolutely be wildcarding right now. Not a question in the world. And I won't tell a lie. I thought about it yesterday, just hitting that button, especially knowing there'll be some price changes coming. But what actually has turned me off doing that, number of reasons, is seeing so many other people panicking and actually hitting that. There's been hundreds of thousands of wildcard buttons have been hit already. And I just don't think we have enough information yet. Could be a mistake not to do it. As you can see, I'm sitting on 49 points. A couple of marginal decisions didn't go my way. The big one was I literally had the captain's armband on Djokovic by accident, and then when I went to check my team, just a couple of hours before deadline, just make sure it was locked. And I thought, oh, no, I didn't mean to captain Gyökeres, put that on Haaland. I thought, oh, but I'm really tempted by Gyökeres. And I was like, no, I'll leave it. It says fate is telling me to leave it on Gyökeres. It's a shame I checked it, but of course you always check your team. I went, oh, no, gotta go safe. Go Haaland. 12 points would have been a big difference towards heading towards, my target 70. So at the moment on 49, it was looking a lot worse before that Arsenal game, though. It was looking a lot worse. You could say, and I don't wish injury on anyone, but those of you that saw my video before deadline called Cole Palmer and dropping him, and that could still come good because technically the player that's come in for Palmer is Bruno Fernandes. So that could still work out for me, obviously. You could say it's worked out already, but no, I certainly didn't wish any injury on Cole Palmer at all. And it does actually offer me some explanation because of his really good pre-season form, his really good form at the Club World Cup. Where did he go come the first game week of the season? Well, he was already carrying it. So that explains a lot. I have a conspiracy theory that they knew he wasn't going to start, and that he went out because he didn't look. He looked tender in the warm up from the beginning. He said, "Well, it doesn't look right." And sure enough, he didn't come out to start. I'm just wondering, did they play a little bit of sleight of hand there? Knew he wasn't going to start, and put him out there. I don't know. Conspiracy theory. But he didn't look right in the warm up at all. Surely he knew if he was carrying it a bit last week. All seemed a bit dodgy. Anyway, back to the point du jour. 49 points. Thank God for Gyökeres. Sorry I cursed you, Cole Palmer, if indeed I did do that with my little song in the pre-deadline. The pre-deadline Cole Palmer song. The ones I think that will be smiling, of course, those that did keep João Pedro. And there's going to be plenty, I think, that will have lost Palmer, but will have had a João Pedro coming off the bench, or indeed I think people benched Spurs assets that may come back in. And as I say, they obviously did quite well. So yeah, I'm not really going to talk. I'll do a proper wash up of this game week. The main one I want to talk about, really, because I think a lot of you guys will be thinking about it, is do we take panic measures? Now, for me, this is absolutely somewhere where Des of old would hit that wildcard button and say to be hell or be damned. And I've always planned for the early wildcard anyways, potentially doing it in 3, but leaning more towards 4, 5, potentially 6. But as I say, I just think because of that panic that's going on out there at the moment, and we don't know who the good assets are at the moment, and we've got the international break coming. There could be injuries on that. There's another one I want to talk about briefly as well in this video. But for me, I don't think so. The thing is, as you can see, we we'll do a full wash up of this game week after we've actually had the last match. It's an awkward turn around. Bruno Fernandes could come in with something, and yeah, we do know Munoz is clean sheets and any sort of an attacking return is something from Bruno. And it could absolutely be happy days, and I could tick towards that 70. At the moment, I'd be just happy to get over that 60. I still won't be too far off my averages with plenty of time to recover that. Let's move this out of the way. Sorry, guys. I'll get to the spreadsheet in a minute. Let's just look at this team. So at the moment, I'm forced into a lineup like this. And I guess that's the shame. I'll just show you it here, then we'll actually run through it on the spreadsheet. This is how I'm sort of forced to line up at the moment. And this is certainly this is where I thought I can play through 3 fairly easily. Because the fixtures generally weren't too bad. Not ideal having Arsenal and Liverpool against each other, but as I say, this has been a weird season so far. Just after 2 game weeks, who knows what could happen? And they are, in the main attacking players, and I do expect there'll be a couple of goals in that. So not overly perturbed by that, other than it actually being a tough, a blue or a red fixture, whichever way you want to look at it. I think things make a little bit more sense though if I go to the spreadsheet. Okay, so hopefully you can all see that nice and clear. Just to get my first coffee of the morning down me. So as we can say here that we've got our 11 there. We'll go through these. Okay, Sanchez is good. He's hitting my averages, 8 and 3. So this obviously isn't the wildcard team. I'm reverting obviously back to my game week 1 team and how that is doing so far in game week 2 and what the fixtures look like in 3, 4, and then ideally I'd like to get to there 5 with the wildcard, because we can see here this was looking actually fairly good, and if this provided not too many injuries or anything on the international break, I was looking pretty good there for 4. And then, because obviously then I'm going to have much more data to fill in across here as I try and hit the 5, find a team on a wild card that's showing a reasonable chance of 5 with good fixtures going forward from the keeper. 4 for my keeper, 5 for defenders, 6 for midfielders, and 7 for strikers. So at the moment, keeper's doing grand, and that'll be a decent fixture. Absolutely fine. Don't know how Milenkovic has done in his game week 2 yet, but clearly that's a nice game week fixture in 3. Tarkowski, decent enough fixture there in 3, and a pretty good fixture there in 4. And as I say, not a bad fixture for Sanchez either there. That's a good fixture. Milenkovic there, but there's potential rotations I can do there for the Arsenal away fixture. Porro's chugging along nicely and is actually on after 2 games, an average of 5.5. Got to be whole territory for Porro soon, one would think. And again, 3 and 4 looking pretty decent. Okay, so we've got Palmer. Now, there's no question in my mind, Palmer's out for at least a few weeks. So, but we haven't had any news, and I know this sounds crazy after leaving him out on my wild card, but he wasn't showing up. He didn't show up in that first game. When I saw that Chelsea lineup, I thought, oh, I'm worried now. With Delap and João Pedro both starting, I thought, oh, he's going to be taking him from that left. He's going to be playing more central and more to the right. I'm almost certain that would have happened. I think because of where Estavio came on for Palmer, who played out more to that right. So Palmer, I think, would have been going back into his more favoured position. So despite my Cole Palmer song, I'm inclined to want to wait for news to see if he'll be back after the international break. If it is a groin strain, there's a reasonable chance. We're looking at 3 weeks, so we'd only be missing that one match, and then I'm not going to say Tottenham's an easy match, but Again, the fixture's not too bad, really. And, United, we still don't know where United are at. So still got decent fixtures there. Verts, I know a lot of people are, we'll see how Verts goes today. We'll talk about Verts in a moment. I've still got faith that this guy's going to be a great asset at 8.5 million. Johnson. Oh, okay, so Johnson overtaken Kudos, so justified. Now, obviously, I didn't have Johnson. I think this is the only thing that I did the free hit. I still think me doing the free hit played into my tactics. Like I said, I take those swings. But currently, my no, it's not showing the numbers there. Usually, I just calculates it. But currently, my normal team would be beating my free hit team, and that looks with 1, 2, 3, 4 players to go. My normal team is going to beat my free hit team, I think. But I actually hope it. I know it sounds weird. I actually hope it does, because then obviously it starts to push my averages up. Towards what I would expect it to get as an average as a team without captaincy. And this team would have undoubtedly, I would have had Saka as captain. It would have been the obvious choice in my normal draft. So we might as well talk about Saka. Anytime you pull up without contact, and I think we've all seen it plenty of times. That's going to be 3. And again, it's another 3-week injury if that's his hammy. At least 3 weeks. I've done enough hammies in my time to know that exact pain when it happens, and how long you're likely to be out for. So he's certainly missing 1, potentially back after the international break. Next fixture is Liverpool away, anyways. So we'll then it's Forest home, and then City home. So not easiest of fixtures, and then a Newcastle away fixture in 6 as well. But as I said, likely wildcard 5, likely wildcard on 5. Rangers, City were incredibly disappointing yesterday, weren't they? Unless you were a Spurs fan, then you'd have been loving it. But decent fixtures again. Brighton away, Man United at home, and then obviously the Arsenal away fixture. I really would like. Information is king. It really is for me to get at least 4 game weeks of data and averages. So what do I do though? Because the team, as I say, is an absolute mess now. We've got Palmer's gone, and Saka's gone, and obviously Frimpong's gone. Can I just get through this with 1 transfer? But I still want to get through 4. So for me, as I work through this, and I look through my little watch list down here, is I want to try and find a couple of decent fixtures together, and it ain't easy at the moment. This is the other thing that steers me away. You don't see too many runs of green unless you are looking at, at Chelsea. But do I want to bring in another Chelsea asset? It's a possibility, and the one that would go. So a spoiler alert: I haven't decided who the transfer is going to be, but it will be a Palmer. Sorry, what am I saying? It will be, I think, a Saka replacement for now. He's definitely out. I think there's a slight chance that Palmer could be back. Very slight. So I think it would be a Saka replacement I'd look at for now, because he's definitely going to be out, I think, for at least 1, possibly 2 game weeks. So I am thinking that it'll be we'll bring in a Saka replacement. And try and find someone with a reasonable fixture in 3 and 4 to keep a reasonable sea of green there. Because I want to hang on to Liverpool assets with Arsenal home. I know it's not great, but it is the best attack in the Premier League without question. So is there a decent chance, that the likes of TK or reverse, which would be my remaining blue, you could call it a red, I guess, fixture, get a return? Well, absolutely, from what we're seeing in the Premier League so far. Given Arsenal defence its credit, but they've had 2 clean sheets in a row. But I think they're due to concede a goal or 2, and Liverpool are the team that would likely be able to do it. So unlikely that Parma would play. So could I look at a Chelsea asset? Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be Cucurella, obviously. Don't think I've got any at the moment. Other Chelsea midfielders, but could it be Enzo, the lad that came on for Parma, who looked as though he could have some good moments? Got up ahead his name, but you know. Um, possibly, possibly. The other one, of course, is that I'd have liked to have caught. Original plan would have been to have brought in a United asset, be that possibly a defender, maybe a Dorgu or something like that for the Burnley fixture. Um, but probably in reality, so the money would be there, obviously, in using Saka to bring in a Bruno. Um, but we'll have a look at the game later. But we could potentially look at there's Euro there at the moment. It's just really for the fixture ticker of Burnley, but it is Chelsea away. So, but it is that Burnley fixture. So is this one where Cunha could shine? Now, if I did bring in like a Cunha, what that would give me is some money. We could bring in Cunha. We could bring in. You know, I'm going through a thought process here, as you can see. We could bring in Cunha for Saka. That gives us a pretty really decent sort of fixtures. I think we're going to have no choice, obviously, but to yeah, I'd still have to bring in Kroipe. I don't want to play. This is the thing. Really don't want to play full Krug against Forest. Really don't want to play that one. I need to update this spreadsheet after the thing's done. I think I'm leaning. I think I'm leaning slightly, but it depends what I see from United today. I think I'm leaning a little bit towards Cunha, because I think that could be very, very exciting against Burnley at home. But what that also does is free up a little bit of money, because I really would, unless I have further injuries, obviously during the international break of this weekend, I would like to play through 4. I think, because it doesn't look bad, and so potentially, yeah. I mean, Verbruggen, yeah, no, Sanchez's fixture is not bad. I've got a reasonable choice on goalkeeper there. Absolutely could play Kuiper instead of Milenkovic. And with one more transfer, you know, I could look to bring in for 4, but a Crystal Palace asset would be quite nice. Crystal Palace with Sunderland. These are the sort of options I'm looking at the moment. I just think I need to see how this game week plays out. If there are more injuries, if I get more injuries before the end of the game week, um, you know, as I said, we've got a few more players to go. Obviously, we've got the Milenkovic, Tarkowski have got to play. Wirtz has got to play. Ekatike has got to play. One more injury probably would be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And I probably would wildcard, but I'm really, really reluctant to do it. So I think if you can get, I guess and I don't often give advice, I play my own game. But looking at the chaos that's going on out there at the moment, when we have so little information after just 2 game weeks, you know, I'm starting to try and build this picture, as you can see down here. The more data I get around, you know, around the DEFCON monsters versus, you know, the players that are not, you know, not achieving DEFCON. You know, at the moment, as I say, you know, you've got Romero is looking better value than, you know, than Porro at the moment. You know, and with an average of 7.5, and he's picking up some DEFCON. You know, some of the cheaper ones that maybe are starting to come through. I mean, is cash worth probably not. Yoro's one I've got my eye on. I think is going to be a DEFCON monster. Can United start picking up some clean sheets? But even if he is just picking up 4s, you know, at 4.5, is Yoro going to be like a really good little bargain enabler. So that I want to see this picture unfold, and 2 weeks of data is simply not enough. I need 3, ideally 4, and if I could, but I don't think I can, looking at those fixtures push to 5, I absolutely would. So I think it maybe is. I think a lot of people are going to end up wildcarding, and they're going to wildcard out of the frying pan into more fires, particularly with the international break coming up, because that can be really volatile with injuries and all sorts of things going on. And there's something else. Sorry, that's the thing I nearly forgot to talk about. No, we don't want that one. Don't want that one. Want this one. This, I think, is something we have to start thinking about. I think when we wildcard, I think we really need to have this in mind, um, and see who are the form players from teams not competing in Europe. So again, I just think a bit more data I think will be useful. We saw it last year with teams that didn't have European football, that you could say overperformed. They didn't have that responsibility. And Nottingham Forest is absolutely, and I thought Nottingham Forest were magnificent last year, but not having that pressure of competing in Europe made a big difference. Of course it did. And I think Forest, tired a little bit towards the end of the season, and fell away, but they had a fantastic season. And we're going to have these players. We're going to have these, Forest assets, Crystal Palace assets, etc. And indeed Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea. And some of these teams have built super squads. There is going to be rotation, and I think having a reasonable smattering and bench players from Man United, and we also got Man United, Fulham, Everton, Bournemouth, and Brentford. I've picked those ones because to me those look like the most likely that we would want assets from. I think having a reasonable smattering of foreign players from those is going to be really, really important. Of course, we will need our Salahs, our Haalands, our Palmers. Newcastle have not bought that many players, have they? Few. But that squad, they're going to struggle, I think, with the depth of squads you really need to play European football. And as I say, your Man United, your Fulham are going to play a game, one game a week. They're going to play their game, have all week for prepping, and they'll be, at home to a Chelsea or a Liverpool or an Arsenal, or a Newcastle, who potentially could be described potentially as better teams, but who will have had to rotate a few and have players with, a bit leggy, and get results against them. So again, I don't have the answers, and I'm raising the question and probably making a suggestion. Now's not the time to panic, I think. Coming from me, well, you know me of old, I'd be absolutely pressing that wildcard button. Unless you are in really, really, really big trouble, I would say hold out or play through it if you've still got your free hit. Maybe try and play through and get to the international break and maybe use your free hit. Those are my early thoughts. Game week's not done yet. I could completely change my mind by tomorrow. That's it, folks. Sorry, a little bit waffly, early in the morning. I've only got 1 coffee down. We know I need 3 to be functioning. Hope your game week's going well. I've seen a few decent scores. Game week's not over. So much can happen. We've got a few guys are going really, really well. Really, really, really well in what so far is a low-scoring game week. But there's quite a few players to come yet. And I've only got 2. And I've got no Salah. Don't panic, Tess. Don't panic. Have fun. Play your own game. Don't panic. I'll talk to you when the game week is done. See you soon. Bye-bye.